Use the code CHICKEN in the shop.
Hey guys, the Chicken is here. We're back today with another Boom Beach video. In today's video, guys, I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the problems we've been having with all of the seasons seemingly coming after Season 40, how they can fix them, and we'll do a little parking update. I'll talk about parking a little bit too. I don't know what I'm going to call this video just yet, but kind of like maybe an end of the season wrap-up review, kind of all in one slam fest. So if you guys haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to use that code CHICKEN in the shop. And yeah, let's get into it. Let's get after it. So the leaderboard, man, it's moving. It's still moving, and I still don't know. It's going to come right friggin' down to the wire. So currently we're sitting at like 370, something like that, which is way too low for me to be comfortable. 385 now. This is way too low for me to be comfortable at going into the very last day, but as we can see here, that 500 plus 2375 already. We still got, as of right now, 19 hours to go, so it's going to be very close. I mean, I don't know. It's a 50-50 chance at this point that we make it. So yeah, I wanted to talk about some of the things that were wrong with the season 40 kind of seasons, and how they can fix that. I want to focus more on the fixing stuff than, we've talked about the issues kind of a lot. If you haven't seen one of my recent videos, then maybe it's new to you, but let's do some what do you want to do? Let's do some mini warship accounts attacks, I guess, but we still have it here. We won't go to the main base out of desperation just yet. That'll be in a few days. We'll do some laser ranger attacks, but for right now, we'll stick with right here. So, we'll start off with some of the problems in the season 40s, then we'll go into kind of how that played into this season, and then finally end with how you go about parking. So, what have been some of the problems with the season 40 seasons, and why do I say that? So, in my view, and I think most of you guys will agree, since like around season 40, I don't know exactly, and I think there's been a couple okay seasons in between, they've really just made the same kind of mistakes over and over and over again, and that's really been, going back to yesterday's video, it's really been compounded by the fact that they put in the critter launchers in the game too, right? So the issue is, I think, is that they make things too defensive early on. And, it's definitely a fine line, because if you make things too offensive, then you get the opposite problem, right? Where everything comes down to, who can, click the artillery button the fastest or whatever. Those metas aren't really fun either. So it's not an easy thing. I don't want to talk about this stuff and be like, oh, it's so obvious, blah, blah, blah. Like, some of the mistakes they make, I would say, are fairly obvious, but I don't know. I think what they need to do is just make it a lot more balanced at the beginning. And the way they can do that is by simply giving us appropriate stat nodes for how many defenses they have. So if, they want to keep the critter launchers in early for whatever reason, just make sure that you give us troop health and, put a shock bomb somewhere within the vicinity of the critter launcher. Don't put the critter launcher at 2 and the shock bombs at 5, for example. And if you're going to give us 100 DBD early on, don't put a sky shield. Don't put something that makes it impossible to get around defenses. I'm not saying it can't be worked on. I'm just talking about this from a gameplay perspective, right? Like we talked about a little bit yesterday. So, a lot of the season 40s have been very defensive heavy, and I don't know. Some people like to say that that's to sell instant training. In my opinion, and working a little bit with Supercell, just being totally honest, I don't think that's true, because I don't feel like they put that much thought into the tech trees at all. My belief is that they're all automated, and then they fix things that make them game breaking. I don't think they put like, oh, we'll put this here and put like some crazy guy on a chalkboard, like with the X's and O's, that whatever that meme is, and then this will sell like X amount more of it. Like if they wanted to sell more stuff in the game, they could easily do it. Like number one, put in decent shop offers every now and then, put in bundle stuff. Like there's a million things they could do if they wanted to make more money in the game. I don't think making, tech trees where people fizzle, at the same time, I'm sure they don't want, people to just be able to run through every base, and, it's got to be a balance, right? So I don't know. But we've definitely seen that problem a lot since around season 40 for whatever reason. So yeah, I think fixing that, it's just as simple as, having a somewhat balanced tech tree and, maintaining it going forward from there. Just making small tweaks to it, changing things, whatever. Let's throw a smoke there. No, the smoke didn't go down. That's alright. If we get one heavy over here on this side, then we should be good. Because we'll have a lot of artilleries left over. So we only need a couple. We actually only need one. Because we're going to get this down to almost nothing here. And that critter is going to be interesting. Boom, there it is. So, I don't know. That's kind of my take on the Season 40s, the problems we've had with them. You know, we've talked about that a little bit. This season specifically, I think what we learned this season was it's not really a good idea to give out a bunch of keys and tokens. That kind of doesn't really help anyone. It's nice in the moment for sure because you get to unlock a bunch of stuff and it's fun and you get to rank up maybe once or twice. But the problem with doing that is then everyone is in the same thing. You know, as we look at the end of the season here, I know people will say that it's like, oh, the people who finish at the top get all the stuff and they get ahead. You kind of need that. Because if you don't have that, everyone unlocking stuff at the same time, it gets really hard to rank up like at all. And you want to be able to avoid. This guy's already lost. I don't know what he's doing. And you want to avoid. You know, there has to be some sort of discrepancy between the players and their tech levels, or it becomes very hard to find push points for anybody. And I think that only really makes a difference for the guys that are going like the top. So like even me as like a top 500 player almost every season doesn't really affect me. So that's just my view. It's my opinion. I don't know. You guys can agree or disagree, but that's how I think about it anyways. But yeah, so giving out all the keys, giving out all the tokens, I think, you know, it was kind of a lose-lose situation for Supercell at that point because they already made the chest bug. There was no way, from what I understand, to individually credit the accounts that didn't get that. So it's like, okay, you know, you give a gift for everybody or you do nothing. Like, giving the gift for everybody was the better, you know, kind of two evils at that point. So there was that. The chest bug, obviously very bad. You combine that with bad tech tree, and I don't know. It was just like a lot of like stupid things kind of seemingly happen, and then we get through that at the very end, and then that turns into what do I want to get here? I think I want to get the GBE node. I'm not going to go to 4ER. Let's see. We got 58 keys. We definitely want the GBE node for sure. That's going to help us out. So let's get that. And we'll get some more defenses, I guess. We'll grab an extra flamethrower. Just because we don't have enough splash damage here at the front. Okay. So yeah, I don't know. It was a very bad season. I don't want to, be too negative, but if I'm doing a wrap up and review on the season, in my opinion, it was the worst season ever in the history of Warships. And yeah, that's bugs aside. Like, the bug made it worse, obviously, but I'm not going to condemn the whole season just for, a bug that was, whatever, out of their control, I guess. I think the major problem with it was just 100 DBD at the start and critter launchers and a sky shield. Like, that's just not a fun, good meta for anybody. That being said, the good things about this season was there was a lot of there's a lot of variety for sure in different troop combinations and that kind of thing. We saw some different combos that we haven't seen for like a very long time, which was kind of cool. We're gonna be able to take the sky shield. I'm gonna need a flare here. Let's go. And I'm gonna save my artilleries for an my GB for an artillery at the very end. This kind of worked out, I guess. We'll see here. We got a lot of critters eating us. Yeah, it's gonna be close. Come on, heavies. Come on. Keep shooting. Boom, there it is, 247. Let's see if we can get this account into gold before we wrap things up. But yeah, there was a lot of variety. There was a lot of... I found the decks weren't really great for, the metas that we have. I find those gap decks, they always just end up being like compact cluster fizzle bases. We've got this guy beat on time, sweet. So, I don't know. I found that just, like, there are some things that ended up being fun about the season for sure, but, there was just too much negative stuff, really. Like, it was all pretty minor, the good things that came out of it. So, yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on season 46. But now, in terms of parking, I always try to park. If you guys didn't know, I always try to park when I feel like I've reached the highest point I can reach at in the season. I don't play just for the sake of playing at the very end of the season, because I want to finish, as high as I can. That's why we make all the good tech choices. We don't do all that stuff just to lose at the very end. That doesn't make sense. I feel like right now, if I went back in, I'm going to be matched up against guys that have equal or more tech than I do, and it's going to be a 50-50 toss-up. And I don't know if we need to go back in just yet, even with 20 hours left. That's how close the season has been. But yeah, in terms of parking, like we talked about yesterday, you just got to watch the leaderboard. You got to watch. I think what makes sense for most people is just like what I just said. Is just get to the point where you feel like you can't really get any higher, and then just call it from there. I think that makes a lot of sense for most people, and I think that's the best way to do it too, because that's going to maximize your rewards. It's going to maximize your starting position for next season, and then maybe next season try to beat it. I think that's the way to go about Warships, is just try to build off of wherever you finished last time, and then go from there. All right, let's go. Phone has retreated. Oops, stupid. Just realized I could take out those things with artillery, but here we are. All right, let's go. We still have a fair number of heavies left. All we got to do is clear this one. We might have a shot at getting to 16 before the season's over. There we go. We got that one. I think we only need one more win after this too. So I mean, there's different ways to do it. There's different ways to do it for sure. I remember this meta where it was like if you can just clip like that outside edge where that sky shield is, you could art down the engine room. I was never very good at that, as you just saw. So that was frustrating, but yeah. So that's what I try to do when I'm parking, and how do I judge it? I don't know. It's kind of it depends on the season. All right, this is a potential boss fight for gold. Let's see what we got. Okay. This one looks interesting. This one looks tough, actually. Let's actually art this one out. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think it's 5. Because we got the extra GB now, right? I think it's going to cost more to go the other way, so we'll try doing it like this. See if we can farm a little bit of GB here. A little bit. Now we'll make our run. Don't know if Brick is going to hang on for the ride. Let's see. Come on, Bricky. We'll use one more battle orders. Go. That critter launcher is going to mess us up pretty good, I think. Well, fitting end to the season. I'm not going to retreat because then he's going to know where we're at. Let's use another med kit. We're stuck on that sky shield and that mortar, but oh man, I guess we'll retreat. But then he knows he only has to get 2, so we can't really do that. We're hoping for a fizzle on his end. The good thing is at least we've been going long enough. Oh, it's gonna make us do it anyways. He's been going long enough. Hopefully he has to commit. He's using tanks. Alright, so that's it for season 46, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. As always, thanks so much for watching. That is going to wrap up the video today. Make sure to leave a like if you found it interesting, entertaining, or informative. Catch you next one, guys. Check it out. Back here.